Better connectivity was one of the Nationals' big push for regional Australia this federal election. Well, joining us live is the newly appointed Shadow Regional Communications Minister and Development. The list goes on with your credentials. Well done, Dr. Anne Webster. And you're wasting no time at all. You've met with the Telstra Executive for Technology Engagement. What was the outcome?
Thank you, Janie. Yes, I did actually meet with the Telstra executives here in Mildura last week, and it was before I was even announced, so, you know, it just happened to be the stars aligning, so to speak. It was excellent to hear of their announcement that they're working with Starlink to ensure satellite to phone connectivity. It's just music to my ears as someone who has an electorate where I drop out all the time, and people who live in the electorate, whether it's farms or smaller towns even, once 3G closed down particularly, connectivity became harder and harder. So it makes perfect sense, and I've actually been saying it for some time, that device to satellite, and satellite to device of course, is just the perfect answer going forward. Right now they are trialling the texting component with Samsung Galaxy S25s as the trial phone, and I kind of think of it as a carrier pigeon with a note travelling at 25,000 kilometres an hour, and sometimes those notes drop out. And so they're developing and solving problems all along the way. So they're expecting that we'll be able to make voice calls on satellite-connected phones, and no, you don't need a new phone. It'll be to everyone's phone by 2027. So I certainly am pushing for that. But of course, in the Nationals, David Littleproud has, I'm very glad to say, given me the responsibility to develop our universal service obligation for our telcos, which inevitably will be around satellite communications as well.
Because it was a not negotiable, wasn't it, the connectivity, and as you mentioned, it's really vital for so many people to have it. It's quite surprising, really, that we have this issue in the first place, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you consider that farmers now on their massive tractors and harvesters are trading and their export in the export market, the global export market, using digital devices and technology that is just incredible to see. And if they can't get connectivity, the point is. So some have, you know, solved it by putting a satellite Starlink dish on their own tractors. But the thing is that this should be available for all, universally available as a service to every Australian wherever we live.
And on another subject, Dr. Anne Webster, farmers are talking to us on a daily basis. They're asking us to push governments to provide more funding, whether it's Category D for the floods in New South Wales. We spoke to the Mayor yesterday in Kimber, South Australia. He wasn't satisfied with the funding from the government. Of course, welcomed by all, but needing more and more. Like, I mean, what else do we need besides funding and boots on the ground, which of course we have seen, but we're hearing it's not enough?
Look, when you're looking at a major disaster like the flooding in New South Wales, you absolutely need enough boots on ground. The clean-up is horrendous. I don't live in a flood-ravaged area largely. We have occasional minor floods, but we certainly have nothing like Lismore or Kimber, and so I know that from my colleagues that the work is immense and the clean-up is immense, and the more boots on the ground the better. And funding too, to assist families and businesses just to be able to survive through this whole period, because I think it takes up to 18 months to do the clean-up. So that support is essential. It doesn't surprise me that the Labor government are not contributing enough to that, both at state and federal level. And I would certainly, my colleague Ross Cadell, who is responsible now in the Nats for emergency services, I'm sure he is speaking all about that, and I'd refer you to to have a chat with him. In our drought areas, which I'm much more familiar with, their farmers are needing to buy in hay. They're needing to buy in grain. It's $20,000 a week, one farmer was saying, just to feed his flock of sheep for a week. Every week, $20,000 and $47,000 for a month of grain. I mean, those figures add up really rapidly in a drought. And so we've been calling on the Labor government to go back to our 2020 model of the Regional Investment Corporation Fund and make it interest only for 2 years, interest-free 2 years, I'll get that right, 3 years interest only, and then 5 years principal and interest, because farmers can then consolidate their debt. You know, the weight of financial debt that some of these farmers are bearing right now is enormous, and this helped our farming community, and I urge the Labor government to bring back the Regional Investment Corporation criteria that we had, interest-free for 2 years.
All right, we might put it to them when we speak to them next. Anne Webster, thank you so much. And as we know and say it all the time, that 90% of our food comes from regional and rural Australia, so we certainly need them in more ways than one, but most of all, their health and safety is the main thing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Janie.